I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cogno Movement System. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life.
Hello, hello in UK Health Radio Land. I am Liz Larson with New Life Perspectives Radio, and I'm here with my good friend and business partner,
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna.
Hi, Liz.
We are here with Dianne Robbins, but I'll introduce Diane in just a moment. Bill and I are, of course, the team that created the Cogno Movement System, and we're super excited because we do have a special guest today that has a lot to do with an upcoming event that Bill and I are hosting in the magical, mystical Mount Shasta. So with that event coming up and Halloween coming up, we thought it'd be amazing to have someone share with us something that's mystical and magical, has everything to do with Mount Shasta, and also has to do with consciousness, transformation, a real shift in perspective and belief, and so many other cool things. So I want to start out for Bill and I to share with you just a tiny bit about our event that is happening. So it's happening October 2021, the 21st through the 24th in the magical city of Mount Shasta. The event is centered around quantum manifesting. So Bill and I teach quantum manifesting, and we use our body's own natural abilities. We work with the nervous system to change the chronic feelings and thoughts that block your own natural manifesting ability. And then we utilize, and Bill's going to share with us about this, another natural system that exists outside our body. You guys didn't even know it happened, did you? A natural system that exists outside our bodies to reshape the vibrations, the patterns, the timelines that actually create exactly what we do want. So would you share a bit about that, Bill? What is this quantum manifesting that happens outside the body?
Gosh, there's something really interesting and all this whole episode today, coming up here on Halloween, allows you to maybe open your perspective a little bit to the unseen. Now, one of the things that we do with this cogno quantum manifesting is we speed the natural process up that exists. And how we do that is we have some understandings about how our body is a literal transformer. It downgrades information, if you will. Some of you might be familiar with the energy centers that they know about in the East called chakras. And at the top of your head, there is a certain vibration or frequency that is measurable. And then this frequency descends through the body and gets lower and lower and slower as it goes. We had recognized for a long time that thoughts become things, and that they exist in the realm unseen until they become manifest here in reality. For example, a car that you want. There are people who've had near-death experiences, and during that near-death experience, they witness the things that are working on manifesting in the field around someone. They can see them as physical objects. They start off and look kind of fuzzy or kind of like a ghost. Before they really manifest, before they gain the density. And the closer it comes to physical reality and manifesting, the denser that this thing becomes in your field. Ultimately, it goes through this transformation from thought to thing. And what we do in cogno-quantum is we follow this natural pattern and we accelerate your manifestations. We make it happen faster for you by removing blocks to a manifestation. What do we mean by removing blocks? Well, let's just say, for example, you think, oh, I want to win the lottery. And you're like, yes, lottery. But in the back of your mind, you think about the reality, like think about it like, oh, you actually won now. You won $500 million. Now, after you get done jumping up and down, in a few minutes, you're probably going to be like, uh-oh, Uncle Joe, that guy's going to be calling. He's going to be on my doorstep. Oh, and also random strangers. Guess what? I'm getting my mailboxes filled up with random strangers. Oh my, my eyes, I got cancer of this and that, and everybody's grabbing at you. And you're like, ooh, that's maybe not so fun. Or maybe you read a story about some of the tragedies with winning the lottery and you're like, well, not me. But, the thought of maybe it would end up in my divorce or something like that. And with those thoughts, there is resistance. There is this yes and no going on in us. I want it, but really, I secretly don't want it. So we take care of finding out what those secret are and vet them out. They're really things from our subconscious. And we have developed a method to utilize your body to access your subconscious. Your actual body can give us access to what's going on and tell us what's going on in the subconscious, and you'll have realizations that you hadn't ever considered. Now, I know some of you are thinking Mount Shasta, I'm in Taipei. This radio show is worldwide. You could be in Dubai or anywhere, and you're like, not making it to Mount Shasta on time. So anyway, there is a way that you can start the process. If you go to cognomovement.com and you can get the quantum manifesting bundle, and we have videos there that you can go through it yourself. Anyway, that's what we're doing. It's really exciting, and we're so excited to have Diane here for our Halloween special and to learn all about what's going on in Mount Shasta. I had heard rumors of the type of things that Diane knows about, but I've never experienced it. I don't know anything. So this is an exciting jaunt into another realm.
Well, and Diane, if you will introduce yourself, because we asked Diane, how do you want to introduce yourself? And there's so many amazing things. There's just too many for us to write down, and so much better for her to introduce herself. I will say though, as you can see, if you're watching on video, Diane is a prolific author. So will you introduce yourself to our audience and to the world around that maybe doesn't know about you already?
I'll be happy to. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm Dianne Robbins, and I'm a voice for the Ascended Master Adama, who is the High Priest and Ascended Master of Telos, living in the subterranean city of Telos. And in the background is the mountain of Mount Shasta, and there's a painting by a visionary artist of Adama. I'm also a voice for Mikos, Mikos, who's the head librarian of the Library of Porthalagos, located in the very center of our Earth, inside our hollow Earth. Our Earth is hollow, with openings at the north and south poles, and oceans and mountains still in their pristine state. All planets are hollow. I'm also a voice for the tree kingdom, the cetacean, whales and dolphins, the cetacean kingdom, the crystal kingdom, and the elemental kingdom. And my mission is to reunite all of Earth's people through my books and to bring about the merging of all civilizations from within the center of the earth, the subterranean cities, and the surface populations. Here is a picture of my Telos book. And here's a picture of the book Messages from the Hollow Earth and Treetop and the whales and dolphins.
Oh, wow. You have written so many books.
Thank you. But
So before we get into all the things that Diane's going to share with us, I want to tell everybody, wherever you are in the world, Mount Shasta is in Northern California. It's about 90 minutes from the Oregon-California border. It's inland from the coast, a couple of hours as well. So if you were to look on a map and you were to see the Interstate 5 running all the way from Mexico to Canada, I-5 passes right by Mount Shasta. So it makes the most amazingly beautiful backdrop. So that's where it is. Diane, have you always lived in Mount Shasta?
no, I lived in upstate New York and all my life, and then I was asked to move here about 10 years ago.
Okay, so asked to move there. That sounds mystic. Was it by somebody not particularly physical in this plane?
Yeah, that was by somebody who's not physical on whose plane. I was in the late 1980s. A Dama came to me when I was in New York, and he asked me if I would take his messages, and I said yes. So I started taking all his messages, and I would type them all and put them away in a filing cabinet. And then in a few years, I had all these messages. And I said to him, what do I do with all these messages? He said, well, you take them to the copy shop and make copies, and you have a book. And I said, a book? And he said, yes. So I had a book before I ever thought of writing a book. And then he told me it's time to move to Mount Shasta. So I moved to Mount Shasta within just a few months, and that was about 10 years ago.
Wow, that's a big leap, New York to Mount Shasta. Would you tell my good friend Bill McKenna and the rest of the world, what is Telos?
Well, Telos is the name of a subterranean city located inside the mountain of Mount Shasta. Telos means communication with spirit. All of California was once called Telos. And just to tell you briefly, you've all heard of Lemuria and Atlantis, haven't you? I'm sure you have. There are two continents. Lemuria was in the Pacific Ocean and Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean. And Atlantis developed thermonuclear weapons, and they blew up the continents of Atlantis and Lemuria. And the people living in Lemuria are the ones who live in Telos now. So they contacted the spiritual hierarchy of our planet for help. And the spiritual hierarchy told them about an empty cavern inside the mountain of Mount Shasta. So they took all their technology, all their records, everything through the underground tunnel system that's always existed throughout our planet. And they took them into the cavern of Mount Shasta. And when Lemuria was about to sink from the thermonuclear war, only 25,000 people were able to escape through the underground tunnel system going into Mount Shasta, and all the rest of the people perished in the blast. There are now 1.5 million people living inside the mountain of Mount Shasta. And they've been there now for 25,000 years. And because they live in peace, they've gained their immortality.
Wow. That's
This
an
is
amazing, that's amazing. Hold on just a sec, Bill. We do have to pause for our first ever commercial break right at this moment. So
Okay.
let's see what our sponsors have to say. And we will be right back to hear about the immortality. Hold that question, Bill. All right. Well, that was fun. We're back. Okay, Bill, immortality. What was your question?
Gosh, Diane, immortality. That is amazing. So my question is did your person that you're communicating with, your entity that you're communicating with, have they ever taken you inside? Have you ever actually physically gotten to go there?
Not in this lifetime. No, I ask all the time. And the reason is because they have no thoughts in their consciousness. They have no thoughts of sickness, aging, or death in their consciousness. They don't even have a word for it. Therefore, it cannot exist. That's how they gain their immortality. If I or anyone else from the surface were to go in there, we all have thoughts of sickness, aging, and death in our consciousness. It would interface with their consciousness. They would lose their immortality.
Ah, that's interesting, an interesting perspective,
Yeah. So important to watch our thoughts. Thoughts become things. As you were saying before, watch our thoughts.
With cogno movement, we actually take that to the next level where we know that the body will create a feeling first and then throw up a thought. So if we can change that chronic pattern in the body, we can change that chronic pattern in the thought so much more effectively and lastingly. So that's something we really know is true and we're working on every day.
Yes.
So Diane, why do these people that have this amazing immortality and don't really want to be infected by our thoughts, why do they share this information with channels like you? What do they want the rest of us to know?
Well, they'd like us to know how to create peace on the planet and how to gain our immortality. We can only gain our immortality when there's peace on the planet. And what is happening now and what's been happening for many millions of years is wars, one after another, to keep us from gaining our immortality. That's the whole point of wars. And so that is what they would like us to know, that without peace, we cannot gain our immortality. Without peace, our planet cannot make its ascension.
So that's so important because with the work that Bill and I do, we know that as we change these patterns in the body, we do raise consciousness, which consciousness is that thing we have to raise to stop war, to understand that's just not getting us where we want to be. So let's shift gears just a tiny bit. There is so much legend and lore around Mount Shasta. So every so often you'll hear tale of people actually seeing a being in and around the Mount Shasta area that are very tall, very, very beautiful, sometimes dressed a little differently. Tell us a little bit about that if you know anything about it.
I've never had that experience, but I've heard it many, many times of, people seeing very tall people walking around. A long, long time ago, people from Telos used to come into town. It must have been maybe over 100 years ago. They used to come into town a lot, and they would buy things and using gold coins, but that's never happened to me. I do know that they monitor us very closely from Telos. They have a computer system, and they're able to monitor the city of Mount Shasta, and they're able to monitor the whole earth. But I've never seen anyone who I thought looked like they were from Telos.
So, I said I've been to Mount Shasta many times and I've had some amazing experiences. So interesting that you say the librarian at the center of the earth, because one of our experiences on the mountain actually included a librarian, a record keeper. So I'll have to share with you about that off camera because it's a long story. And another time we were at the Sacred Well, which we will be visiting on Mount Shasta at Panther Meadow. And it was an overcast, cloudy day. There weren't a lot of people there, but we came across one of these people, very, very tall, odd accent, did not seem to move like we do, a little differently. And he said some really strange things to us. It was a very interesting and fun little interaction, but very mysterious. So I don't know if that was a person from Telos. I like to think it was, but it was a very unusual interaction. And I've heard a lot of this around Mount Shasta, that people have strange and interesting interactions, maybe not with people from Telos, but what do you know about that, these interesting interactions that people have?
Well, I know people tell me about them all the time. I've never had one. I'd love to have one, but apparently it is true. I mean, people tell me, yes, lots of people all the time are contacted up on the mountain with these amazing stories.
Another thing that people report is Bigfoot in the area. Have you ever heard anything about that?
About what?
About Bigfoot in the area. People
Oh,
report
yeah.
seeing Bigfoot.
Yes, people tell me about that too, that they've seen Bigfoot up here.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead, Bill.
so Diane, is there a common theme? You are kind of a magnet, right? Because you've written all these books, and you've obviously done tons of research. The people that come to you and tell you the stories of interacting with, visitors maybe from Telos or people not from here, is there a common theme of the interaction? Are they given interesting information, or is it just like casual passersby? Hi, how you doing? How you doing? Or do they get a healing? Or have you noticed anything like a common theme that you've heard multiple times?
There's no common theme. It's just people tell me about their encounters, and they're all different. People would come to one or two people who are very, very tall and beautiful would come to their their campsite, and start talking to them, or they would meet someone on a trail who was very, very tall and beautiful, and the person would walk with them. And they were all very, very, very different encounters, and I hear it all the time. And just to respond to what you just said about my research, I've never done any research. All my information has been telepathically dictated to me.
Ah.
I need to correct that.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
What's that experience like, Diane? Having that information dictated to you, what does that feel like?
It feels like you, it feels just like you talking to me now, and I write it down. It's no different. It's just, it's words without sound. And I write each word as it's dictated to me. And that's how all my books were dictated to me, words without sound.
So if you were getting the information in New York, why did they want you to actually be in Mount Shasta? I mean, having been there, I can guess, but from your perspective, why did they want you to be there?
Well, because it was time for me to be here, because of all my books and all the people searching for home. People are now searching for home. And Mount Shasta, the mountain, is putting out a call, calling all her children home. The mountain is divine feminine. She is heart energy. And people are looking for home, for safety and love. And so this is the place that Adama said I needed to be, to have all my books ready for this time when people would start coming here because of the mountain's call. So I had to have my Telos book published. I had to have my website ready. I had to have everything ready, and I had to be here for the time when people started coming, because people would be looking for my books, and I needed to be here.
You know, it's interesting because you're right about that. Not that many people know about Mount Shasta and the lore and the stories about it. They'll know about other places, maybe Sedona, Peru, some of those places, but people are starting to wake up and learn about what can happen, the energy that happens in Mount Shasta. I can say from personal experience that I've lived nearby my whole life. And only about 5 years ago, a friend of mine from Toronto said, I want to go to Mount Shasta. It's my dream. And I'm like, why? What would you want to do there? Beautiful, but there's not much there. And then, yeah, she came out, we went. And from the minute we got a quarter of a mile outside of where we were going to stay, it started and lasted for 4 days, this crazy, crazy experience. So the energy is massive. What are you seeing that's really drawing people?
What is drawing people?
Yeah, what is it?
People are receiving the call in their heart from the mountain. They're being called. These are people who are searching. Let me put it this way. People are starting to, the consciousness on the earth is rising. People are becoming more conscious. People are starting to ask the question, who am I? Why am I here? What have I come to do? They're starting to ask those questions. And those are the ones whose hearts are opening, and the mountain is sending out the call to come here. Because they are searching for home. Home is in the heart.
Home in the heart. Now, tell me, I've heard that there are different energy centers around the globe, and one was in Tibet, the other is the pyramids, and I heard Mount Shasta as well. They all represent different energy centers with different focuses, like intuition or the heart, or the kind of like us humans have the survival centers. We have to take a break. I want to hear your feedback on what Mount Shasta represents as far as the type of energy it has, what that's reflected in our bodies. So we have to take this break for UK Health Radio. We're going to hear what they have to say. We'll be right back. All right, Diane, tell us, what is the energy center that's represented in Mount Shasta? What earth chakra is it?
It's the heart energy. It's the love energy. It's the energy of home. That's what people are searching for. They want to know who they are.
Wow. Well, now, see, this is a really interesting thing because in our work, one of the things that we find is that most people out there have blocks on their heart. They have been hurt. And so they naturally, what they do is they shut their heart down. It's like if we had a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or something, and then, they left us. Typical response is shut the heart down first thing. And that causes a lot of pain. Matter of fact, interesting story. I at one point in my career, I had an aircraft, and in the hangar where I had my aircraft, there was a heart surgeon who had his aircraft that I got to know in the same hangar. So we were talking, and what he specifically did was heart transplants. Where you've heard about the baboon heart, and then they all these, different transplants. Well, that was him. He's done all this. And he also was the pioneer for basically freezing somebody, taking them and freezing their body and stopping their heart, stopping their brainwaves, and then doing the heart transplant. Full heart transplants. Amazing. And then he would warm the body back up and he'd bring them back to life. And he's like amazing. Wonderful man, just love him. And we got to talking, and I asked him a question. And I said, hey, in your work that you do, what percentage of your customers, these are people needing a heart transplant, what percentage of them emotionally have shut down their heart? And he said, and as a doctor, right? He said, 100%. 100% of his customers had shut their heart emotionally down. So my point is, for all our listeners, that a lot of people don't think about this, but when we do shut down our hearts emotionally, we can cause heart issues,
Well, of course, because our heart is our connection to God. That's disconnecting from God, disconnecting from life. So of course your heart is going to do that. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to have heart problems where you're telling your heart you don't want to be here. And your heart saying, okay, I'll shut down. All right, we'll have a heart attack. It's disconnecting from God. So it's love that people are searching for, because love will heal the heart. Love is our connection to God.
Yeah.
And that's what the mountain offers: heart energy, connection to God.
That is so true. Everybody's heard the term all around the world and all the different religions of the world. God is love. So that is our gateway to accessing the divine, is through the heart. So I have a technique for everybody at the end that is going to help with this. As always, we give one of these, what I call secrets of the masters. If you access some of our previous recordings, you're going to get some of those other secrets. We're going to teach you a method that will really open up the heart, and it will actually make your life better today. So I'm excited to share that in a few moments. Diane, I got a question. And in your experience in the past decade of being on the mountain in Mount Shasta, the people that come, do you witness them by virtue of being in the energy of Mount Shasta, being physically there, that their heart begins to open, or is there no correlation? Do you see people who start opening up just by virtue of being there?
Just by being here, they start searching for who they are. Just by the fact that they're here, they start making a connection to themselves. A lot of people come here and are lost. They're disconnected from themselves, from life, and they start making a change. Yes.
So that's interesting, actually, that you're saying that people come and they're lost and then they start to make a change. Would you talk a little bit about that, the energy that's there? Because I've heard people say, I grew up there my whole life. I didn't feel anything. And then, like myself, when I went, I was very skeptical, did not expect to feel anything. And shabam, it changed my entire life. So what is that? What's causing that?
The energy from the mountain. That's what's causing it. It's the energy. I don't have the answer, but it's just the very fact of being here. They feel so good being on the mountain that they start wanting to live again, and they start having hope.
So when I went that first time, what happened for two of us that went together, and then a third friend who lives there, is it opened up a center in our bodies somewhere that allowed us to receive massive amounts of information at a time, and then translate that information and teach it. In fact, Bill and I had met just a couple months before that trip, and we were in contact while I was on that trip. And Cogno movement and its expansion was born shortly after that. So it affected everyone around me as well as myself. But for me, that's what it was. It was about the ability to receive and translate that information into something teachable, something that we could use. Bill, at that time, told me something. Do you remember it? What was your call to Mount Shasta, Bill?
Oh, gosh, I mean, there's been a few ones. I mean, are you talking about the person who told me about? Oh, well, it was many years ago. It was 2000, probably 9 or so, and I was going through training at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, and there was this teacher who said, "Oh, you're going to be teaching the teachers in Mount Shasta." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was at that point, I was like, "Yeah, I didn't know anything." And it seemed like a very remote possibility that I would be teaching teachers.
Well, and it took us some time to get there, to actually put on a retreat there. We've talked about it again and again, and then COVID happened and other things happened. And then one day we said, okay, it's time. We're going. Here's the date. Let's do it. And then we've met the most amazing people. So Diane will actually be a part of that retreat. The people who come with us will get to meet her in person. They'll get to hear her stories, her secrets that she'll share with us, and have the opportunity to actually buy one of her books from her directly, which is massive. So that's going to be really, really fun and really, really special for everyone. So I have like 1,000 more questions for Diane, but we're bumping up against the end of the show. So before we go into the heart opening a technique, I just want to ask Diane, where can people reach out to you? How can they find you to get more?
Well, please go to my website, which is diannerobbins.com, DianneRobbins.com. And you can see all my books and read excerpts from them, and you can order my books. And I also send out monthly channelings every month. So you can subscribe to my monthly channelings from my website, and it's free. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much for being here with us. And Bill and I look forward to meeting you in person very, very soon. So if you want more of Cogno Movement, it's cognomovement.com. 2 free books we have there available for you. You can download them and read them today. In fact, our first book, Suffering is Optional, is going through a brand new upgrade. So pretty soon that book will be refreshed as well. But if you want it as is now, please download it. So Bill, will you finish out our show today with a heart opening, changing technique?
Oh, well, transformation. Well, okay, everybody. This technique is pretty amazing. For some of you, this will change your life. So what you're going to do is to relax, close your eyes if you can, and think of someone that you love non-romantically. This could even be a pet, but you're going to want to choose somebody, or even an animal that was a pet, that you experienced love. At some point in your life, a grandmother, grandfather, niece, nephew, a pet dog or cat, but there was a time and a place where you could really feel it. Take yourself back in time to that time, that place when you could really feel it. Many mothers talk about this when their son or daughter was born and they first experienced them and they felt that love for the first time. Let yourself go to there and feel that feeling of love for them, and notice that you know that this person or pet has faults. You're not oblivious that they have some sort of fault, but you don't care. It has absolutely nothing to do with how you feel about them. Just allow yourself to feel that feeling of that for them. And as you do, notice that this is a feeling. It's really not a thought as much as it is a feeling for them. And now, without any thought whatsoever, no thought, give this feeling to you. Give that feeling to you. Just like you gave it to them, faults and all, give the feeling to you, faults and all. You can almost imagine that your head's disconnected. You can't think. All you can do is feel, and just giving that feeling to you. You'll never be able to earn this, by the way. There's never such thing as good enough for it. You just do it anyway. Just allow this feeling in for you. For some of you, this will be the very first time in your life. The truth is, I work with thousands and thousands of people, and it's only about 3% of the world has this. Only 3%. So if you say, I haven't ever felt it before and it's hard for you, you're the majority. You're one of the 97%. But guess what? Today's the day. Allow the feeling in for you. For no good reason. Just do it. If you're a parent, if you happen to be a parent, allow this feeling in for you, because it becomes permission for your children to have this for themselves. When you show them that it's okay to have this feeling for yourself. It's not selfish in any way. This is the ultimate gift that you can give your children, is to feel this for you, faults and all. When your children begin to feel this for themselves, they will attract somebody who feels this way about them. This is how it works. We don't get what we want. We get people treating us how we feel about ourselves. Give this gift to yourself and watch how other people start treating you. It will be different. Enjoy. Thank you all.
Thanks everyone for being here today. Thank you so much, Diane. Thanks, Bill McKenna. See y'all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.